I wanted to give some more thoughts on Alex Pereira's loss to Ciryl Gane. And if you guys remember yesterday, I did a video here talking about Alex Pereira using the word lucky twice when talking about Ciryl Gane and the jab he landed in the fight and how I wasn't a fan of that. And you see the title of the video, I say it's not a good look for Pereira. There were a lot of excuses in that clip that Pereira did on his channel. And I didn't like the fact that he wasn't giving any credit to Gane. Now, I made a mistake in that video. If you remember off the top of this full video that Pereira talks about, he says, but I believe that if it wasn't for those shots, I believe. I thought he was referring to the jab. He was actually referring to the borderline illegal shots to the back of the head. And so people were like, oh, you purposely did this. No, I was trying to get the video up quickly. I did miss this. I'll admit I made a mistake in that video. But the point still stands is that there was no credit given to Gane in this fight. If you watch the fight in its entirety, Ciryl Gane, in my opinion, dominated this fight. We can talk about the strikes at the back of the head. That's what I'm going to do in today's video. But this idea that there were no excuses from Pereira and Pereira fans getting all defensive about that in my opinion just simply wasn't true. So we got Pereira on Ariel Helwani's show. We'll look at that in a sec. There's a really good video here showing the illegal strikes, so borderline illegal strikes that were sort of talked about here. And even Michael Bisping retweeted it. He says, this is a good video that shows 2 illegal blows in a flurry of 15 total. So the guy's name is Ring Journey. He did a great job with this, in my opinion. Let's watch his breakdown here of the punches to the back of the head, and you guys be the judge and let me know here. But I'm going to stand by this. I don't think this is the reason that Pereira lost this fight. I think it's part of it, and I think we can discuss it. But I had so many Pereira fans yesterday coming at me being like, if it wasn't for this, he would have won the fight. Like, no, I'm sorry. So let's watch this video.
Pereira-wise too.
Legal. Illegal. Legal. Okay, so he falls down on a legal shot. Illegal, okay. Legal. Bad angle. So yeah, I think he did a good job here kind of outlining it. There's not a lot, like people are convinced that Gane did this on purpose. And yes, Gane has a habit of doing this. He's, we know the eye pokes with Aspinall. There was the shots at the back of the head with Tuivasa as well. I understand people feeling that way, but I think this outlines it pretty well that this wasn't the majority of the exchange here was the illegal shots. That's what Pereira fans seem to be putting out there, that this was the reason he lost the fight, and Pereira has every right to complain about it. But the whole theme of this video that people missed, that I kept going on about, was the fact that Pereira just didn't give any credit to Gane at all in the fight. And if it was a situation where all those shots were illegal and it was blatantly obvious that Gane did cheat to try and win this fight, then maybe you've got a case. But I think for him to even use the word lucky in a fight like this, to me, just looks like a poor sport and a poor loser. Then I had Pereira fans telling me, well, if he did something illegal on purpose, why would he give him any respect? Well, that's not what happened. Again, I just showed you the video here. To me, it looks like a lot of these shots were not illegal, and it's unfortunate that Pereira lost, but you got to come to grips with this a little bit. So anyways, Pereira goes on Ariel Helwani's show today, and a couple things I wanted to note on that. So we'll go through some of the, I'm not going to watch all the clips here, but you can see it here. He says, Pereira shares what frustrated him about the loss to Ciryl Gane. Herb Dean came in and said, listen, I understand that sometimes in a fight, eye pokes can happen, low blows can happen, but this guy has a history of shots to the back of the head, so please pay attention that during the fight, after we spoke with him, he brought Mike Beltran over, just so you understand the back of the head is here. Seemed like he absorbed the information. Then the next day, seeing everything that happened, knowing what he brought to his attention, he did not do his job. So Pereira's upset with Herb Dean, which I don't have a problem with. Again, my issue here is the lack of accountability of Gane being successful in this fight prior to all this stuff. This stuff I don't mind him talking about because it did happen in the fight, but to make it out like that's the reason he lost the fight, sorry, I don't agree with that. Shares how many illegal shots were on the back of the head, at least three or four. So in that video I showed you, it was not 3 or 4. But again, some of them were tough to tell. You're talking about a heavyweight fight in a weight class, these shots can matter, but a heavyweight, the damage is much more severe because there's more power behind them. I'm fine with that assessment, but again, I don't know if it was 3 or 4. Did he purposely use illegal strikes to get the finish? When I'm in a fight and I drop somebody, I look at what's going on, fight my best legal shots. Ciryl looked to me like he's trying to win the fight, maybe because emotionally he's scared and he wants to finish the fight. Come on. Again, we just saw the video here. I don't think Gane's at what point is Gane scared or panicking in this fight? Again, this comes back to what he said in the other video here. there's a lot of like now he's accusing Gane of like, this was his way out. He was losing this fight. That's kind of what he's making it out here. I'll read it again. It says, when I fight, and again, there's a translation here, so it might not be 100% accurate, but he's saying like, Ciryl looks to me that he's trying to win the fight. Maybe, because emotionally he's scared and wants to finish the fight. Nobody watched that fight on Sunday and said Ciryl Gane's looking for a way out. That's not what happened. Alex Pereira will not appeal the loss to Ciryl Gane. Well, that's interesting, because if it was so concrete, like Pereira and his fans are saying, why wouldn't you appeal it? Just see what happens. At least then you've known you try your best. Doesn't make sense to appeal if he's the champ. Let him be the champ. Things happen. Always come back stronger from bad results. This is what we were looking for yesterday in the video. Was I'll come back stronger from the bad results. That's all. I think that's all everyone wanted. But to use words like lucky jab or lucky shot, and then to say that, again, I believe if it wasn't for those shots, I believe I would have won. Like, again, that's not giving much credit to Ciryl Gane. Believes that Ciryl Gane was on the verge of gassing out in the fight. People say I got tired. No, I did not. If I had the chance to survive without the illegal strikes, I feel that Ciryl will not survive because he does not have heart. How do we know he doesn't have heart? You could see it in his eyes. I got robbed of the moment. Again, these are more excuses and less of I could have fought. Like there's nothing in this entire interview, and you guys can watch it in its entirety, where Pereira takes any accountability for his performance. None about the weight gain and how he looks slower. None about the fact that, prior to all this, Ciryl Gane, was landing some very good shots. Again, I'll show you the stats again here. There's just no accountability. And it's so hypocritical because, like I mentioned yesterday, if it was the other way around, Pereira fans would be going after Ciryl Gane if he said any of this stuff. Again, look at the overall shots, 54-12. Gane was very successful in this fight, and there's just no credit given. I had someone yesterday tell me that Jamal Hill, because Jamal Hill, when he fought Pereira, he says, oh, the ref stoppage, it threw me off in the fight, and people are like, oh, Hill's just making excuses that, he's saying that if it wasn't for the ref stoppage, he would have won the fight. That's not really what Hill said, from what I remember, but Pereira is clearly saying that Gane's lucky. I had someone yesterday saying that Pereira saying that the shots were lucky is a better way of handling the loss than Jamal Hill saying the ref stepped in, because Jamal was the one that initiated the foul. It's like we're living in a fantasy land here. Just the lengths that Pereira fans will go to defend this guy is just unreal to me. Here's another key bit of information. Alex Pereira announces that he plans to remain at heavyweight no matter what's next. We kind of knew that was coming. Again, he's gained a lot of weight here. It's going to be pretty hard for him to go back to 205. So he'll ask to never have Herb Dean as a ref again. That's a fair take. Don't disagree with that whatsoever. Again, if he doesn't want to have Herb Dean as a ref and he feel like he didn't do a good job, that's fine. Don't have an issue with that. But again, there's not a lot of accountability here from Alex Pereira. There's no credit given to Gane. There's no, I'll go win a couple fights and then come back. I mean, the closest thing we've had to any sort of accountability is that one quote right here where he says, things happen and I always come back stronger from bad results. That's about as good of humility as Pereira will have in this whole situation. So again, I wanted to do this video again for a couple reasons. Number one, I messed up the quote yesterday here. I'm willing to admit that, and I'm not doing it to deceive you. I'm doing it because I try and get these videos up as quick as possible, because sometimes people don't talk about this stuff in the same amount of time that I do. So I try and get this up as quickly as I can. Sometimes I miss things. It happens. I apologize for that. Number two is the people that were dead set on if it weren't for the shots that Pereira would have won. Again, I've showed you plenty of evidence here. I've shown a lot of Pereira just not taking accountability for the loss. I hope Pereira goes and fights Josh Hokett, wins that fight and gets the rematch against Gane or whoever, or whatever happens with Aspinall and Gane. We'll see. Again, there's no guarantee that Aspinall comes back. I do want to see these guys rematch at some point. I'm not like someone that thinks that Gane should not have to fight him, but yeah, that's just my thoughts. I think this is a total cope session by Pereira and his fans. And I think if it was the other way around, the Pereira fans would be going nuts right now. So just wanted to point that out. Again, I got nothing against Pereira or anything like that, but I don't like the excuses. And I said the same thing with the whole thing that's gone on with Chimaev since losing to Strickland, the whole Jackson podcast, not Chimaev himself, but the Jackson podcast, making all these excuses about the terrible weight cut he had, which again, your weight cut's in control. He had a full camp for the fight, all this stuff. It's the same type of thing. It's just more excuses and less credit to the opponent. Again, I have yet to hear Chimaev or the guys on the Jackson podcast give Sean Strickland any credit, the same way I don't hear Pereira giving any credit to Ciryl Gane. So that's my take on this. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about all this. Curious to hear what you guys want to think about this. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.